It's been a long weekend of Pokemon TCG in Australia with some fantastic games played at the Melbourne Regionals, and this deck is the one that ended up winning. Palkia VSTAR, the best deck in Australia right now. All 8 of the top 8 decks were Palkia VSTAR, and this one is the list used by its winner, Christian Hasbani, and it's what I've kind of dubbed the turbo version of Palkia. You can call it whatever you like. It's got a very interesting engine, so let's talk about it. Firstly, Palkia is the key, the 280 HP water-type V-Star Pokemon that has 2 pieces of really interesting text on it. We've got an attack for 2 water energy called Subspace Swell, which does 60 damage plus 20 for every benched Pokemon on your opponent's and your own side of the field. That means that you can potentially deal up to 260 damage with Palkia if you then add on things like Choice Belt, which this deck plays a couple of. Had to find it in the list there for a second. Then you can potentially hit 290 damage. So Palkia, a very, very strong attacker. But the thing that really pushes this across the line is the ability. The V-Star Power Star Portal means that you can get 3 water energies from your discard pile and attach them to any of your water Pokemon in any way you like. That means that you can power up your Palkia if you need extra energy to attack with. You can utilize another attacker, which this deck has a couple of, or you can even set up multiple attackers to try and get a situation where you can't lose the game. Now, those other attackers are very interesting. We have a classic attacker in the deck, Suicune V, 210 HP, a basic water Pokemon that has effectively the same attack. Blizzard Rondo does 20 plus 20 for every benched Pokemon, means that you cap out at 220, but critically, you can attack with it on your first turn if you go second, so very, very useful. Plus, it has the fleet-footed ability to allow you to draw an extra card if it's in the active. We also have a brand new card, Starmie V, and I really love this alternate art. It looks fantastic. This card is super strong, a couple of good options. Swift does 50 damage for 2 colorless energy, and its damage is not affected by any effects on your opponent's Pokemon, so Pokemon like Miltank you can actually hit into, so that's very good. But the main reason that it's in the deck is for Energy Spiral. 2 water energy, it does 50 damage times the amount of energy on your opponent's side of the field. So if you're playing up against an Arceus and they've utilized their attack to accelerate energy, they might have 5 or 6 in play, you can do 250 300 damage really, really easy with this fantastic basic attacker. It's also worth noting it has free retreat, so super, super nice. I think the critical one, though, that everyone wants to talk about is a Radiant Greninja, a very, very useful attacker to snipe damage onto the bench. 130 HP water-type Pokemon with 2 pieces of text. Very, very good. Moonlight Shuriken, 2 water and a colorless. This deals 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you discard 2 water energy from this Greninja. That means that you can take knockouts on things like Sobble and Drizzile. You can remove other Mew from the field, the Baby Celebrations Mew. There's a whole bunch of other Pokemon that have 90 or less HP, or if they don't have them, you can use this to set up knockouts on other Pokemon like Mew VMAX, Duraludon VMAX, even other Palkias. Make your maths just that little bit easier. Radiant Greninja is super versatile, and also it has the Concealed Cards ability, which means that you can discard a water energy and draw 2 cards from your deck. You use Scoop Up Net so you can get this guy going really, really quickly and draw a ton of cards to set yourself up. And we also have, as I've mentioned, the Mysterious Tail Mew from Celebrations. We put this into our active position and then look at the top 6 cards of our deck. We can take any item card from there into our hand. It's just a nice little consistency. Find a Quick Ball, find an Ultra Ball, find a Air Balloon or a Scoop Up Net, something that you need to get yourself into an attacking position. And finally, if it all doesn't work out, we also have Princess's Curtain Diancie, which has come out from the new Astral Radiance set. This means that if you have this Diancie in the active, then your opponent cannot use any supporters to affect your benched Pokemon. So Boss's Orders, for example, cannot target an appropriate Pokemon unless it is evolved. If you've got a Palkia on the bench, it's a Palkia V. it can't be bossed. Anything that you've got on the bench, Diancie will protect. Plus, it's also got a really interesting attack of its own. Spike Draw for 1 colorless energy does 20 damage and then draws 2 cards, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider the fact that Palkia does 90 damage, did I say, then this Spike Draw could potentially be enough to get you across the line in matchups such as Mew VMAX. A couple of other cards worth talking about in here. We do have Trekking Shoes in the list to be able to look at the top card, discard it, or put it into our hand. If we discard it, we can draw another card. Very, very nice to help us get water energy into the discard pile for Palkia's ability, as well as turboing through our deck. And a card we haven't seen for a very long time, Crobat V, a very good support Pokemon that hasn't seen a lot of play. Now it's got its place back in the meta to turbo through the cards in our deck to try and find those Palkia pieces as quick as possible. Wow, it's a lot to talk about. This deck is incredibly strong. Palkia is definitely one of the best decks at the moment. If you look at the top 8 in Australia, you would think it's the only deck that's worth playing, but we're going to take it out onto the ladder and show you exactly why it is so good, and hopefully we can see some of this Diancie stuff happen, or at least attack with Greninja. Time to show off, as best as I can, Palkia. We've got Suicune in the active. We're just going to draw a card and see what we can find, and that is a good card to find off of the top deck. Radiant Greninja can discard a water energy from our hand and draw a couple of cards, but this is not great. This is not an ideal start. We do at least have Fleet-Footed for next turn, but we might lose this Suicune, to be honest. We're playing up against Mew, so this could go very poorly. We were talking in the deck profile section about the fact that Mew can be relatively easy to beat if you do prevent that boss's orders. We don't have a Diancie, so we can't get that into the active at the moment. We're going to have to just hope for the best, and hope we will do. Now, hopefully, you've been enjoying the videos on the channel recently. There haven't been too many, but that's because I've been preparing for Melbourne Regionals over the next couple of weeks before the North American International Championships. We're going to have a few more, so make sure you are checking in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Show me that you're interested. That would be great. Leave a like. Leave a big like. That would be great. Do all those things. If this Suicune gets knocked out here, which it looks like it might, a quick ball into another Genesect is very frustrating, then we might find this game very difficult to win indeed. But, you know, it's going to be possible. I would really like to try and attack with Radiant Greninja this turn. That would be fantastic. But to be honest, I don't know that we're going to be able to have enough energy in the discard pile to get that to happen. So, we'll wait and see. We might promote Palkia and hope for the best. Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. Perhaps benching Starmie could have been a good idea here to so that we could retreat for free. We'll have to wait and see. Oh my goodness, I've just played every single card in the game. Oh, I'm just going to cut my head off here so that you can't see me. That's incredible. This Mew had a very awkward start and has now filled up their bench. They have everything that they need. Melodious Echo, here we go. Okay, so our best decision here is to try and get something going with the Radiant Greninja. I'm going to put the Palkia in the active though, because I don't want... Oh, Trekking Shoes is good. Put a water energy in the discard. Oh, we kind of need to keep that. Okay, this is grim. Okay, so we're going to need to just attack with the Palkia in the active here. So we're going to Melanie to the active. We're going to hope that we can find an energy. Oh, my goodness. No. Okay, let's place down some cards. We've got Choice Belts out the wazoo. Let's play the Heavy Ball and see what we have access to. There's a Crobat. So we might actually just grab the Mew here, I think. Because we know that there's 2 Crobats in our deck, and we know that one of them's prize. So it means that we're guaranteed to be able to find the other here. Let's Ultra Ball away. Actually, we'll just we'll put this Choice Belt on the active. Then we can Ultra Ball away a Boss and a Starmie. And that's a little awkward because we have lost the Suicune already. We're going to rely on only a couple of attackers here. We're going to go in and grab this Crobat. Maybe we shouldn't have committed this Palkia. Perhaps it would have been better for us to have gone maybe for the Mew So actually, we wouldn't have been able to because we unprized it, didn't we? So, okay, we've got some water energy in the discard pile now, at least, so we can potentially get a slightly more significant star portal off here. We don't really care about this Pumpkaboo, I don't think. Another bucket is fantastic. We can use that to find a couple of water energies. Now our hand is absolutely stacked full of them. We'll attach to the active, and then we will subspace swell. Not ideal, because now we need to find a one-shot on a Mew VMAX, and honestly, I don't know that we will be able to do it, at least not very easily. We could potentially see a Zigzagoon ping or two help us out, but I don't know that that's going to be possible. We won't even be able to do it if that Fusion Strike energy is on the active, so it could potentially be a little bit awkward. Our opponent's setting up nicely with Mew and flipping heads on Cramomatic, so they're going to have as good a start as they could possibly hope for here. And as long as they don't knock out our Palkia, then we might have a chance, but I'm not particularly hopeful. There's an awkward Oricorio, to say the least. And they're going to be drawing some more cards. Now, the Diancie that we have in our hand is very useful in this particular matchup. I would presume it's one of the best matchups for it to be used in, but unfortunately we didn't find it until way too late. We had a very awkward opening hand. A lot better now, obviously. And we know we can heavy ball for the Crobat if we need to. But the issue is, I don't know that we're going to be able to deal 310 damage. We might need to be a little creative. We might be creative here. We could do it. It's possible. I mean, our prizes are on the board, right? We can knock out a couple of Mew VMAXs. We could knock out a Mew VMAX and a Genesect. There's definitely there. There's definitely an option for it. There's a couple of power tablets that have been played. Okay, so they need one more modifier. One more modifier to try and get the knockout here. If they whiff the knockout, we've got ourselves a chance. Like a very genuine chance to win this game if they miss the knockout. They're going to Genesect for a couple of cards. What is their plan? Are they able to do it? They're going to retreat into the Mew with the DTE and then just Fusion Strike. Okay, so this is fine. This is good for us on multiple levels. Firstly, we didn't get knocked out, so we're in the game. Secondly, this Mew now is potentially knockoutable. It is potentially knockoutable. So we will do our best. We're just going to thin these heavy balls out of our hand here. Then we can use concealed cards, discard a water energy from our hand, and find ourselves a couple of freshies. Is there a world where I knock this Mew out this turn? If I had a Scoop Up Net, then maybe, because I would be doing 260 damage, plus 30 with the Choice Belt. Two pinks with the Zigzagoon will get me to 310, but unfortunately, we have that Oricorio in play, so we'd need 2 more Scoop Up Nets. We need to be able to find 3 this turn. I just don't know if that's necessarily a reasonable thing to do. We could Melanie here and take a couple of prizes. Or we could simply use Boss's orders and take 2 prizes on a Genesect. The last thing we want to do is knock out this Oricorio. The question becomes, are we likely to attack with Greninja in the coming turns? And to be honest, I think we are. I'm going to weld it to this Palkia. There's the Scoop Up Net, so if that Oricorio wasn't in play, we'd actually take a one-shot knockout on this Mew right here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case this time. We're just going to thin one of these Mews out, I think. And then I think what we're going to need to do, we might need to just go for like an attack with Palkia. It's not ideal. We might need to retreat into a benched Palkia, actually, and make it as difficult as possible for our opponent to try and win this game. If we leave this one in the active, they could simply use Boss's orders onto our Crobat, which would not be nice. We don't want that to happen. We do not want that to happen. Although, potentially, this could have been a turn where maybe I did go for whatchamacallit, where I went for the Diancie. That's okay. I think the path that we're working towards now is going to be fine. I'm going to discard a couple of water energy here and grab ourselves the second Palkia VSTAR. We'll throw this down onto the field and then we can manually retreat our active Palkia. It's probably not the best play in the world, but it's certainly useful, and it means that next turn we'll be able to Star Portal and potentially get a knockout on this Mew VMAX, which I really like. We won't do too much else, I don't think. There's any real reason to use the Zigzagoon Pings right now. We're going to try and take a knockout with the Greninja next turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal 250 damage to this Mew. That's 60 HP away from being knocked out, which we're going to be able to do with the Greninja. What we'll try and do is we'll Greninja into this Mew, the benched Mew VMAX as well. And there's no way that our opponent can realistically get a big knockout on this Palkia VSTAR without using Silene down the track, because I think they've used a lot of resources. They needed to use a lot to get the attack off on the Palkia. So we'll wait and see what our opponent does. They're also very low on cards. They've only got 10 left. So that's obviously that's a potential problem. A potential problem. Bearing in mind, of course, we only have 15 ourselves. They've used Escape Rope. Okay, so we're going to promote the Mew here. It's the only reasonable choice. It might be that they have a boss's orders or something similar in their hand. Maybe they're just trying to thin. Maybe they're looking for that boss to try and take a knockout. Quick Ball here, getting rid of a Battle Pass. I'll go for a whiff there and draw a couple of cards by the looks of things. There's a Choice Belt, okay. 3 cards off the Genesect. Maybe they're struggling for energy as well. We did see them lose 2 of their energy on the Meloetta early game, so it might be that they want to attack with a fresh Mew and haven't found an energy yet. Silene is a very interesting card to play. That means that there will not be a boss knockout this turn, and that means that we are likely to go on to win this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. If we can get our attack off here, I think we're going to be fine. We could just take the knockout on... They're going to promote the Genesect. Okay, we can just take the knockout on the Genesect here, I think. I don't think there's a problem with that. I mean, it's free. Let's play the Boots. Scoop Up Net is a good card. I like the idea of that. We'll keep that one. And then I think... Well, I mean, this is weird because our opponent has played awkwardly, to say the very least. It's fine. We've still got plenty of options. And we're probably going to go on to win the game. So we'll just continue to thin. We'll thin out the cards that we don't need. I've been completely put off by their failure to take a knockout. I was kind of just assuming that they would do it. Okay, let's promote the Palkia, because there's no reason not to. And then I guess we could just take a knockout. Like, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. We'll hold the energy for next turn. We can just knock this Mew out next. Oh, hang on. Maybe I should have just gone with the Greninja play anyway. Yeah, because they could potentially use their Mew here, and they could boss out the Palkia, and then use Psychic Leap to remove all of the energy off of the Mew. This is a massive error. Okay, should have attacked with the Greninja. We'd set up to attack with the Greninja. We should have just done it. That's okay, we live and we learn. This is the whole point, right? The whole point... Oh, I've just whacked the microphone. I'm sorry, everyone, for smacking that. This is the whole point of playing these games. Is that... Okay, they're not gonna be... They're not gonna be... It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine, everyone. Don't worry about it. We're gonna win. It's... Oh my god. It would have been way better if I had have played properly. But yeah, so what we should have done there, just as an FYI, we should have used the Greninja, done 90 damage to this Mew, knocked it out, and then done 90 damage to the other Mew. Because then, a boss's orders and an attack wins us the game, right? So we can boss out the Greninja, not the Greninja, the Genesect, and then win the game from there. But luckily, it's all worked out for us. Tell you what, we'll play one more and we'll see if we can show off the deck a little better. I missed the start of the recording. They're playing a Quick Ball. Okay, we're here. We're playing a Quick Ball as a Dark Energy. We could be seeing anything here. We could be seeing Hisuian Samurott. We could be seeing Darkrai. I'm going to guess it's going to be a Darkrai. Considering the fact that they just searched out a Darkrai, I think that's probably going to be it. We'll have to wait and see, though. Will they play a Darkrai? Is that possibly the deck that we're going up against? It's going to be interesting, actually, to see how Palkia goes against another V-Star deck. 270 HP is difficult to hit, but not impossible. Palkia can do it quite well, so I'm thinking that this is going to be a relatively even one, but I think if we can get in front, we should have a really good time. Hey, we've got plenty of Mews here. We've got 3 Mews in our opening hand. Let's Trekking Shoes and grab ourselves that Capacious Bucket. I like that. We can throw down our bucket, grab ourselves a couple of water energy, and then I think we are going to Quick Ball. We'll discard one of these Mews. I think we don't really need three of them. Sorry, we don't need three of them. And then the question is, do we get Crobat here or Greninja? I think Greninja is the best choice. We'll go for the Greninja, put that one down on the bench, and then we can use concealed cards to draw into 2 freshies. We'll see what we find. We've got Trekking Shoes and another Mew. Fantastic. So there's all 4 of our Mews in our opening turn. I'm going to discard this boss. We're going to try and hunt down some more cards here. We really want an Ultra Ball, and there is one off of the Mew. I think that is probably the best choice here. We've got Scoop Up Net. We don't really need a retreat option. We don't need the energy. We'll go for the Ultra Ball here. And that can be one of 2 things next turn. It can potentially be a Palkia VSTAR, which we might need to attack. Maybe a Crobat. Of course, it depends on what our opponent does. We'll bench down the other Mew just in case they take a knockout, and then we are ready and raring to go up against this Darkrai deck. We'll see what they can do. They will get the first attack off, but I don't know that with 2 cards in hand, they're going to be able to do enough to get a knockout on the Palkia V this turn. They'll need Boss's Orders and a whole bunch of Dark Energy in play, so I am relatively confident that our Palkia should survive. I say that with a capital S. Should survive. There's Trekking Shoes. I'll say this much. Trekking Shoes is a very interesting card to introduce into the format. Essentially saying if you want, you can play 56. You can play 56 cards if you want. It doesn't make that much of a difference. And you know what? I kind of dig that. There's a certain something to saying, you know what? I don't need 60 cards to win. I can use 56, and Trekking Shoes lets you go for that. So I think it's good. I think it's a good card. I don't want to be that guy, but I suspect that Trekking Shoes may be a good card. You heard it here first. I don't know why I'm doing this. Also, by the way, I hope that some of you caught the stream on Sunday morning. Hopefully it was entertaining. If you could comment down below and let me know what your favourite part was, or something that we could improve on for next time, presuming of course that there is a next time, because this is the first time that I've streamed in an official capacity. And if you want to check it out, you can go to twitch.tv/ESL Australia and find the VOD of it and check it out. That would be fantastic. Leave a like if you were live and you saw it. Or, conversely, leave a like if you didn't see it, but would like to leave a like instead. That would be great. I've already done this in this video. I'm just realizing that I did the like thing earlier. I spruiked the likes earlier, but that's okay. It's gonna be fine. Only the OGs are watching here anyway. Normally people stop watching after the first game, so I put the 12-minute one there. There was a Mew game that went for 12 minutes, and I'm kind of hoping that this game's a little shorter. We'll wait and see. Our opponent's playing quite slowly, so you never know. Maybe this is the long one. But hey, it's fine. You guys, part of like the 36% I think is the amount of people that watch beyond like game 1. It's finally our turn. Here we go. I can stop stalling. Alrighty, we have all the cards that we need to get ourselves into a big attack here. Now, our opponent has not found themselves a way to attack yet. We have 2 Palkia in the deck. How many Ultra Ball do we have? 3. Okay, so we've got plenty of chances. We're going to draw a few cards with Crobat. We can use Radiant Greninja to draw cards as well, assuming, of course, that we draw into some energy. Let's Crobat here. We'll draw 5. We find the Palkia VSTAR, which is fantastic. So we've got that. Then I think we're going to need to draw into a boss here off of the Radiant Greninja. So I'm thinking maybe we go for the Mew first. Could be that we go for the Mew first. Because if we do find a boss off of the Greninja, then that would be fantastic. Let's bucket here. We can grab that and search out 2 cards. We'll just thin that out. We've got 3 boss in the list, so hopefully we can find one here. Let's keep thinning to try and get ourselves as good a chance as possible. Let's grab the... You know what, I think Starmie's probably a good attacker in this matchup, considering they're going to want to stack as many energies as they can. Now we're going to conceal cards. If we find a boss here, I think we're pretty much just going to win this game. Okay, let's cast up the Darkrai. That's incredibly strong. We can scoop up this Mew, put the Palkia into the active, then we've got our second Palkia for the bench, we've got our Starmie for the bench, we can then use our heavy ball to try and search out a card. Oh, Lumineon's pretty good. I mean, we probably could have done that first, right? Anyway, that's fine. Let's Subspace Swell, take a knockout. This is looking pretty good. 270 damage, exactly. The perfect maths to knock out that Darkrai. And we picked the... Oh, they're just going to concede. Well, there you go. This did end up being a little short, didn't it? So there you have it, the list that won Melbourne Regionals actually is quite good. What a surprise that these winning decks tend to do well. Thank you very much everyone for watching. If you did watch on the weekend as well, let me know, that would be great. If you are one of these people over here who is a member, then you are an absolute legend. And if you haven't already, then you might want to check out a single prize deck that can beat Palkia almost every time. This Luxray list that I'm pointing to, right there it is a deck that you should consider if you are not interested in playing meta, but beating it instead. Check it out.